Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's much better for us. It'll only be in the minus 30s, not the minus 40s. Yeah, there's
We'll
reason to
take what we can
celebrate,
get.
everybody. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Lauren.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't have better news
That's
for you.
okay. Let's hope it changes. 406.
What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
I'll talk about the hat that I'm wearing. You don't see me in the hats too much. But this is about everyday Canadians standing up for their country. This is an example of how we need to unite, and we cannot let President Trump divide us. He'll be being sworn in a week, and then he's going to lay the tariffs on Canada. He's going to try to devastate our country. He's going to try to divide our country, and we cannot have division in our country. I understand that all around the country, everyone has their concerns, their jurisdictions from coast to coast to coast. But there's one thing that's more important than jurisdictions, is standing up for the country. Country comes first over anything, and we're going to continue to fight against these tariffs, and we're going to use every tool in our toolbox to make sure that happens.
Everyone's got a toolbox these days. That, of course, is Canadian Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who's wearing a hat today that's getting a lot of attention. And his hat, it's a baseball cap, simply says, Canada is not for sale. Canada is not for sale. I think we know where he stands. You heard there in that clip. James Mennie is on the line over at the Gazette. So, Jim, what'd you make of this?
Well, yeah, he doesn't just have a toolbox, my friend. He's got a hat, so that clearly means business. I mean, just listening to that, I wasn't around for the Gettysburg Address, but by gum, this comes pretty gosh darn close, don't you think? The fact is, what we were seeing is a kind of political vaudeville that's being acted out by the two premiers who represent the most populous and theoretically the richest provinces in Confederation. Both of whom are in need of a crisis, both of whom are in need to stand up front and center and grab the spotlight from everyone else. Team Canada, where everybody is a coach, essentially consists of Justin Trudeau, who I think even as we speak is on the verge of addressing reporters as to what did or didn't happen today. You've got Doug Ford, who the buzz is wants to call a snap election and figures this is probably going to be a good booster rocket for him to go into any kind of electoral campaign, talking tough. And I don't disagree with what he's saying. But, motivation is everything. And I look at Francois Legault, who, despite the fact that, it's been made clear in English and in French, so you can actually understand it, that you should not, be going off on your own, trying to make a separate piece or whatever. But in fact, he's doing the same thing. He's saying, we should not exclude the idea of turning off hydroelectric power to the United States. We should not exclude anything. In other words, you don't have one coach on the team. You have at least three. Probably have more before the day is out. But all this to tell you, the best the best ace we have in our hand, Aaron, is the guy that we're dealing with is such a whack job that, God willing, by the time he gets sworn in, he'll have forgotten about this, or indeed he'll turn around and produce such a watered-down version of this. And they've already been telegraphing this, as I said earlier this week. The economic team around Trump is saying, well, we'll do it, incrementally, maybe 1 or 2% per month or whatever, which is fine. So, in other words, the shock to the system will not be that great. But I assure you, even now, as we speak, in the White House, they're trying to find his entourage, his handlers, if you will, are trying to find a way to redirect him away from this onto something else, which is not going to cost people a lot of money, not going to cost people a lot of grief. It's not a very good look to go into your inauguration with a trade war, a full-blown trade war hanging over your head. That said, we're hardly covering ourselves in glory in this country with our reaction to it, our disparate and occasionally embarrassing reaction to it, which is, we're, on the one hand, it's country over everything. Unfortunately, I didn't hear him say nation, so I guess Quebec doesn't count in any of that. I'm sure Francois Legault will make that clear. But don't forget, Francois Legault is in desperate need of a crisis as well. Yeah. The last time Francois Legault enjoyed any kind of glory, enjoyed any kind of respect, enjoyed any kind of support was flat in the middle of a pandemic. we were all handcuffed. So now perhaps he sees an opportunity in this to sort of put himself front and center again, get into the situation again where, the press will come in, they'll ask me questions, I'll give them answers, but I don't have to give any uncomfortable answers because there's une crise. We're going to have a salut. I guarantee you the word salut de crise will be coined at some point this week, Aaron. And they're already talking about having a made in Quebec response team to this, which of course is the kind of the thing the Americans would love. A divided Canada trying to respond to this is exactly what they need. And I'm not talking about the likes of Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, scampering down to Mar-a-Lago for what appears to be nothing more than a photo op with an extreme. I don't know if you saw the pic, Aaron.
Yeah.
Trump looks like he's about 112.
He does, yeah.
He's not. This is not agreeing with him this second term. It hasn't even started yet.
Well, I think, what, for him, he's one of those guys, and I saw that picture and I thought the exact same thing. I think out of his suit and tie, when you just see him in civvies, right, he looks a lot older than when he's out there on the campaign trail, right?
The only thing that shocked me more in that picture was, Kevin O'Leary
his white suit,
the Sonny Crockett look from for 2025. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was more like Colonel Sanders than it was Sonny Crockett. But regardless, it is interesting, Jim, to your point, that you have all these individual premiers, right, who at the end of the day are talking about national unity in the country. But you're right, all for their own purposes, getting out there and talking about what their province is going to do and their jobs. I find that very odd. And I don't know what came out of this meeting today between the Prime Minister and his team and all the individual premiers, if much came out of this at all, or if this is just another chance for them to stand up each individually, right, independently, and say, hey, we're here in Ontario. Hey, we're here in Quebec for just that reason. They need these kind of things to get on the good side of the news.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they're as I speak to you, I'm watching now. Legault is actually talking to reporters, so I'm sure we'll have an update in time for the top of the hour news. But the thing of this is that, I think there are a lot of people in this country, and yes, in Quebec, which is a part of this country, who genuinely want to have that feeling, genuinely want to have the feeling they're on a team, that this is not some competition between various jurisdictions.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent, both Ford and Legault, for whatever reason, are blowing it. And I got to tell you, I don't know who's advising Doug Ford. Drop the props, because it does take away to a certain extent. We can deal with the Joe Lunch Bucket vernacular. That's all very well and good. That works. That's good TV. That's good clip. But yeah, I mean, he keeps the idea that he's using these various visual aids. How can I put it? To say that Canada is not for sale. We knew that before you put on the hat, buddy. But anyway, all that to tell you. Let's hope they get their act together by the end of the week, because quite frankly, God knows what President Trump is going to say after his inauguration, how many new threats he will add to those which are already dangling over us. But whatever happens, I just hope that we're, how can I put it, genuinely more coordinated and genuinely more united than the kind of rhetoric would lead us to believe thus far.
By the way, just as a programming note here, we're going to have, Inauguration Day, of course, is Monday, and CJD is going to have programming beginning at 11:30, special coverage starting with Vashi Kapelis at 11:30 of the Donald Trump inauguration. So,
and I can tell you that as you mentioned this, I'm looking at this press conference, and there seems to be a consensus at the table with everyone sitting there that energy supply is not off the table when it comes to retaliatory tariffs or retaliatory measures.
Oh, we better not tell Danielle Smith that. All right. Let me move on and talk about what's going on locally. I see Valerie Plante's name in the news, and I got to tell you, Jim, Brian, our producer, Brian Calsar, said to me the other day, "Hey, maybe it's time we put her picture up on a milk carton. I haven't seen or heard from her in forever. So what's up now?"
Well, the thing is, she's emerging with the holiday season. Come on, cut her some slack there, Aaron. Maybe she was stuck in traffic. Who knows? All that to tell you that she announced today what the objectives are for her final year in office, her final year at the helm of the city of Montreal, which is theoretically will end one way or another in March when a new leader is chosen for Projet Montréal. But I presume she's going to hang around as mayor up until November anyway. But all that said, I got to tell you, buddy, I saw that list. And I honest to God, let out a sigh of not relief, but I guess of frustration. These priorities, gee whiz. pedestrian safety,
Uh-huh.
dealing with homelessness, cleaning up the city, and dealing with traffic. I mean, stop me if you've heard these before, because you've been hearing these basically since, Gerald Tremblay was mayor, at the beginning of his first term. These problems have never been solved. And my concern is, and maybe that's the essence of what's really wrong with this city, it's not just the Plante administration, it's the fact that no one, and whether that's because of the culture of consultation, the culture of procrastination, of blaming the other person, blaming Quebec, blaming the opposition, blaming the public, that nothing ever gets done, Aaron. I mean, if we really, we're not some hick town here. If we really want to focus, I'm sure we could deal, not solve, but certainly deal quite effectively with many of the problems that have been enumerated. Whether it's pedestrian safety, and I hate to say it, but we do on a regular basis. We're losing people, fatal collision. Why? Because, they were crossing on a green, but so was a truck. And, how can we stop this from happening? It's not rocket science.
Yeah, and it's as you say, not new. You're right. We've been talking about it's like taking a page from a playbook that's been there for the last 10 years. So
I know, but the problem is, here's the difference between, say, Gerald Tremblay in 2002 and Valerie Plante in 2025. The city of Montreal budget back in 2002, I don't even think we had broken $1 billion yet. Or if we had, we weren't that high over $1 billion.
What are we now, 6?
Yeah, close to 7.
Yeah.
So we're getting the same level of service, he said, making air quotes, for 7 times the price. And I'm sorry, that's more than just inflation. So, yeah, by and large, I think we've kind of, sadly, every time a list like this comes out, it's a reminder that we are kind of, when it comes to Montreal City Hall, every day is Groundhog Day, Aaron.
Yeah, that's the truth. Jim, I want to ask you one thing before we go. I started off by asking today, and this came up when I brought up the idea of a congestion tax that obviously no one likes. But I brought up at the same time the idea of, it's time to start charging cyclists for a yearly permit, a license, or Reggie, whatever, for $5-10, whatever would happen to be. Good idea or not a good idea?
You've been riding this hobby horse for as long as I've known.
I have.
It's been more than a decade, Aaron. I think it's a great idea, but it will never happen because people will scream like banshees. I think at the point now, you can't have it both ways. You can't turn around and say, bicycling, it's a mainstream. It's not for kids. It's a mainstream form of transportation. If it is pull your weight, pay your way, and it's not the bike paths aren't there for free. And changing of traffic signals, whatever. You want to be, you want to play with the adults, you got to buy in. And if you're going to buy in, at least get yourself a license. Nothing prohibitive, but just enough to make sure that when you saddle up, you're not doing so on the backs of every single taxpayer in Quebec.
And that's where we leave it. All right, Jim, I thank you. I appreciate it.
Adam out.